So how does your child and how do you view failure or success? And that's what we're going to look at tonight. Helping students experience, and this is a key word, the transformative power of a mistake. And when you can set your child free from some of the negative self-talk that comes from making mistakes to it being one of the best learning opportunities available, your perspective has completely reoriented. There's been a paradigm shift, and that's a powerful paradigm shift. So our goals of learning and that what's happening at Fraser Academy with your students is we want to develop independent learners. How do we develop independent thinkers? How do we teach students how to learn in this heavy push of the what to learn? We have these high stakes assessments, we have all these pressures on our students. But if we can develop their thinking abilities, then it doesn't matter what curriculum they're exposed to, what challenges they face. They've got the innate structure, strategies, and functioning to be able to respond. And when we lose that focus in our students because we're so determined that they get the right answer and there's only one way to get it, then we are creating a society of the next generation that don't have the capacity to problem solve, to think creatively, to work collaboratively. And so we want to develop thinkers and we want to teach them how to learn. In life, some of the greatest lessons learned are from the mistakes that we've made. In our work, that we're working specifically with students, we say, brava, when a mistake is made, in all seriousness, because it's the best teachable moment. We want to uncover, where did the breakdown occur? How do we need to repair it? What new strategy do we need to bring to this learning situation so that the student is ready to receive what's being taught? And so this idea of stimulating a generation of thinkers comes from learning from mistakes. What is it? Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before a new creation was made? It just doesn't happen. And we need to begin to help our children recognize that mistakes are not something to fear. Mistakes are incredible learning opportunities. You see, there's a difference between treating the symptoms and getting to the root of what's happening. And that's what you can be confident your educators, your staff at Fraser Academy, they're doing. They're not just putting a Band-Aid on these structured language-based difficulties. They're getting to the underlying processing, the underlying thinking abilities that need to be in place in order for these skill sets to be built. So identifying the error. Talk about what good thinkers do. We need to demystify what is intelligence, what is good thinking. Well, good thinkers compare spontaneously because they're attaching meaning to the new information, to the previously acquired one. Good thinkers label. Language and IQ are innately wired. It's two sides of the same coin. And so with your children, you model that. Good thinkers take time. Error analysis and peer feedback. Part of the joy of working in groups with students is that students learn from one another far more than they learn from their teachers. One-on-one is good, but you can only go so far in asking questions one-on-one. But when you have your peers with you that can add their experiences, their perspectives, and their strategies, immediately the engagement is elevated. Optimism, the lack of it or of it, is not innate. It is a learned skill. Optimism is the way in which you perceive the world around you and how you choose to look at what's happening and how our children choose to look at what's happening to them, particularly with their struggles that they have with dyslexia or language-based learning difficulties. So what we want to do is to create a perspective of a positive lens. We don't want our students looking at life as if I've got 3 Ps. that these problems are permanent and are never going to change. Because the good news is cognitive modifiability, big term, thinking can change, is now an accepted, absolutely across the spectrum for all ages. Scientists are now saying, yes, there are critical windows of learning that we know are most effective for teaching language and different, learning different skills, but throughout the lifespan, cognition can change for the better. And so these challenges that your children currently present with, it's a moment in time. And do we believe this is a state or a trait? And that's a pretty significant question to ask yourself as well as your child. Is this a state or is this a trait? Which is more changeable? A state. Traits, yes, okay, I dye my hair blonde. You can get contact lenses, go from blue to green eyes, whatever it is. But if it's a state, we have the opportunity to instill in our children this belief of a trajectory of unlimited potential. Who are we to know what this child's capabilities are, opportunities are? And when we instill in them limitless possibilities, the world is their oyster. And so we have this opportunity to help our students know that these challenges that they have right now at this moment are not permanent. Personal, it's just me, I'm the dumb one, everybody else gets it so easily, why do I struggle so hard? We need to replace those messages, those inner language tapes that our students are hearing with right now. Reading is difficult for me, but I'm learning some strategies to overcome that. And you know what? I'm a pretty creative techie guy, or I really can put models together well. And so they need to replace some of that negative talk with more positive. And it's not pervasive. They have islands of competencies that we want to expand. Find out what your child is passionate about. What do they love? And explore it to the hilt. Because that's going to build their confidence, which will engage their competency and their willingness to persevere and try. One of your school's strategic initiatives is to really begin honing in on executive functioning, thinking about thinking, organization, self-regulation, problem solving. And in order to do that, there are some pieces that need to be in place. Do you know your child's strengths? How many times a day do you comment on their strength? It takes 11 positive comments to undo the one negative that a child has heard. And how many times a day does a child hear, "You are amazing at finding detail. Wow, your memory for objects is incredible," or whatever the specific feedback is that you give to your child or to your students. But they need to know what their strengths are. But research has shown those parents who tell their children, "You're so smart, you're so intelligent," versus, "I like the way you tried hard, I like the way you problem solved," those children are exponentially more successful than the ones who were told, "You're so smart, you're so intelligent." Because the first time they get a B, or the first time something's challenging and they don't think they can perform as well, they retract from it. So as a parent, the feedback that you give your child is critically important as well in their development of this resilience. Do you know what motivates your child? What do they value? Are they able to make accurate observations? They watch you, and you model how effectively you're evaluating yourself and giving them feedback. What's their judgment like? How'd you do on that math test today? Great, I rocked it out. And then home comes a 20. Are they effective in analyzing, did I do what I needed to do to prepare for it, and how many questions was I unsure of when I was actually taking the assessment? And reactions. As you see children build resilience, you will see a decrease in what we call emotional liability, that roller coaster of up and downs. I think we've all experienced it. They're up very, very high, and then they're low, and it can seem to turn on a dime. As resilience increases, as they learn to give and receive feedback, as they learn to learn from their peers in this group work, this sense of, it's not just me, it's not pervasive, it's not personal, but I'm learning to develop strategies to process through these particular challenges. So how do we build competence and confidence in learners? See, that's two sides of the same coin. Our children know that they've got some vulnerabilities and areas that they're working on, and in these group opportunities that they're going to get ready to engage in, they're going to grow in confidence, a willingness to take risks, a willingness to go out on a limb and express their ideas. You want to facilitate in your child this concept of a growth mindset. I've got some pretty amazing news for you, and I bet many of you already know this. IQ is not fixed. Good news is what you're born with isn't necessarily what you die with. The bad news is it can go either way. But really, when you think about intelligence, it's the ability to respond and adapt to the culture and society in which you live. And the more individuals have opportunity to learn collaboratively, collectively, the better prepared for future experiences they are going to be. And so we want to teach them how to learn, and we want to develop inner language. Inner language, when it is made overt, is the best way to see into your child's mind. You want to ask them regularly, tell me what you're thinking. Getting the students to verbalize allows you to see how organized is their thinking. Are they making associations? Are they seeing the relationship between concepts of what we're teaching? At home, you have the opportunity to say, tell me what you're thinking. But you also have the opportunity to model what you're thinking. You know, Mommy made a really bad decision. I shouldn't have done this. Instead, it would have been better if I had packed your lunch before, and then we would have been on time and wouldn't have been late for school. But you have the opportunity to model that thinking for your child. Otherwise, you don't know what tapes are being played in their heads. And so you want to frequently ask, tell me what you're thinking. Many of our students, and why they don't give you that verbalization, is because they're managing a high level of stress. And they are internalizing, sometimes externalizing, but often internalizing. It would tie us up in knots if we were feeling the same level of stress on multiple facets for them. And so this term allostasis is the process of managing stress, and this is what creates the wear and tear on our bodies. Our bodies were created to respond to short bursts of danger. What's that called when you either run or stay? Fight or flight. But in today's world, our children are having to manage worry. And that's what's creating long-term stress. And the medical research is pretty interesting as what that's doing to our bodies. When we're stressed, the brain sends out more neurotransmitters. Sugar levels rise, they elevate. Cardiovascular system pumps more blood to the muscles. Inflammatory surges happen. When this happens, we are overloaded, especially when it is in children and childhood. Physical, psychological, and neurological changes happen to the brain when there is this underlying stress in a child's life and their body's allostasis trying to manage this. In fact, students who have a high ACE score, that stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, biologically, there's some changes in different areas of the brain, and they have greater problems in school, harder time paying attention, less ability to concentrate, less self-regulatory. These are the kids that are kind of roller coaster with their emotion. Stress in the prefrontal cortex causes emotional and cognitive changes. It has a significant impact on a child. Children who grow up in a stressful environment find it harder to concentrate. Here's the key with failures, find it harder to rebound when they haven't been successful. They have more difficulty following directions. But here's the good news, this word here, resilience. There was a longitudinal study done with over 1,200 infants looking at their ability to respond to life's challenges. And they came from all different backgrounds. And what they found, what researchers found, is that children who had just one adult in their life, it could be a parent, it could be an educator, but one adult who was nurturing, who was caring, and who said, I believe in you, they could overcome almost 100% of the stress impact that was happening to them emotionally and cognitively. That's significant. It's significant for our role as educators because we have an amazing opportunity to speak that truth and to bring in that empathy, that nurturing, that sense of, I believe in you. As parents in your community partnering with the school, what an amazing place to send your child to know that you've got educators on staff saying, I believe in you. I see greatness in you. Yes, it's hard right now. We've got a lot of work we've got to do, but watch out. Who knows what you're going to become in the future? So as we're looking to build this resilience in our students, Paul Tuff's book, after lots of research and gathering the data, 7 character strengths. When you're thinking about your child and how can you enhance this sense of resilience in them, first one that they came up with was this concept of grit. This is only faintly related to IQ. Grit is that ability to say, you know what, I might get knocked down 10 times, but I'm going to get up 12 and keep going and push forward. Next one is zest, joie de vivre. Do you love life? Can you love life even when you're on the edges, the tough edges of life? Zest, our students, our children know when you're happy to be there with them, when you're in the moment. The best educators are the ones that are motivated and want to be there. And you have a crew of them at your school. This was an interesting one that came up, this third one, gratitude. The valuing of another person, the valuing of the investing that person's doing. The next one, optimism. We talked a little bit about this. Intelligence is malleable. Test scores rise when children think they can get smarter. GPAs change, they improve. Optimism also involves the ability to recover from mistakes resulting from poor grades. It's having a stronger resolve to do something different next time. What is that saying? Insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different outcome. So what do we do to change? We failed. Okay, we failed. What do we need to do differently next time? It's that ability to bounce back. I love this one, this next one, cognitive self-control. Cognitive self-control is a better predictor of GPA than IQ. Okay? And then a character strength of resilience is this one of social intelligence. The children who can what we call code switch, can change their language depending upon the group setting that they're in, are often the ones that are most resilient. And so the child who talks the same way to his peers and then carries that forward to the teachers isn't as socially adept as those who can walk into a situation and say, it's my boss here, I need to not use slang, I need to appropriately respond in this type of social situation. Curiosity. How many of you would say you are innately curious? Raise your hand. Good. That's how you change intelligence. But this idea of curiosity, of wanting to engage in the world around, creates a dynamic learning environment for the student. So our children have incredible opportunity at school, at home, to build resilience. But at home, you're the primary educators. You have amazing opportunities to speak truth and hope and optimism and this power of resilience into your children. Thank you. Thank you.